All right, moving over to the featherweight division now. We got Andre "Touchy" Fili coming in at plus 280, going up against Jose Delgado, who's coming in at minus 340. Now, starting off on the Fili side of things, he's coming off of a split decision win. I believe it was a split decision win over Christian C-Rod Rodriguez last time around. And I'll admit, if you guys have been watching me for a while, you guys know I am big on Christian Rodriguez. But even that was a fight where I was a little bit skeptical about it, especially seeing what C-Rod did against Melquizael Costa, who's absolutely streaking as of late. I'm starting to, he's losing points in my head, and I had questions about taking him as a chalky favorite against Andre Fili, and for the reason exactly why we saw. It seemed like the size advantage of Fili. Rodriguez is a guy that's a tweener between 135 and 145. Unfortunately, forced to fight at 145 because he keeps having issues making 135 pounds, and that fight against Fili is a perfect example of why he should be at 135 pounds. Fili was just outworking him from the striking game. He was able to stick and move. He was able to utilize his length to really touch up Rodriguez with the jab. And even in the grappling game, Rodriguez was kind of struggling there with the strength advantage of Fili. Fili is, a tough guy to really dictate. He's been one of the more consistently inconsistent fighters. Since his loss to Joanderson Brito in April of 2022, he's exchanged wins and losses the entire time. He's never been able to put together, at least in that stretch, never been able to put together something longer than a 2-fight winning streak. Actually, even in his 25 appearances with the UFC, he's never gone on anything longer than a 2-fight winning streak. So he has some success and then he falls right off. And then he has success and he falls right off. He's well-rounded. He can grapple when he needs to. He can strike when he needs to, but he doesn't really have what it takes to get to that next level. And he's 35 now, right? I remember when he first came into the UFC, people were hyping him up because he was coming out of the Team Alpha Male crew. He seemed fun. He seemed entertaining, but it seemed like his skill set never really caught up to the hype that he had earlier on in his career. Somebody who did have some hype, kind of had it fizzle off, is his opponent, Jose Delgado, who came up short by decision last time around against Nathaniel Wood. That had a seven-fight winning streak snapped in just his third UFC fight, and that came back in October. He started strong by dropping Wood in the first round and nearly finishing him. However, the veteran managed to survive and eke out the next 2 rounds. It was a very close fight. Majority of fans thought that Delgado did enough to win it, but it was very close, and all 3 judges actually had the same scorecard of round 1 for Delgado and the next 2 rounds for Nathaniel Wood. Win or lose, it was still great experience for Delgado, who's kind of just gotten used to just going out there and knocking dudes out. Nasty striking, good power, good speed with his hands as well, and that's obviously allowed him to go out there and win a lot of his fights. His first loss came back in the day in February of 2023, where he came up short against Chris Makate, who's a very strong wrestler, and he was able to negate most of Delgado's striking advantage with his grappling. Delgado, fun fighter, trains at the MMA lab, often has Benson Henderson, former UFC lightweight champion, in his corner. He's a guy that believes a ton in Delgado, and for good reason. Delgado has a ton of good potential, especially with the striking that we often see from his game. Very, like I said, fast hands, good stinging power. His defensive grappling is improving at a certain rate, and I think he's going to need all those tools to try to overcome the well-roundedness and experience of Andre "Touchy" Fili. Now, this is a tough one for me to completely get behind Delgado at minus 340. He has jumped in terms of his money line. He was roughly around minus 260 when I studied this fight, now at minus 130, minus 340, I should say. And a lot of people believe that Delgado can find the chin and put Fili away. That will be my ultimate prediction. I think Delgado finds a chin and gets the knockout win here, but it's tough to get behind minus 340 because we know Fili can pull it out every now and then, right? Sometimes he can go out there and get the knockout win. Sometimes he can go out there and grind guys out. He can be competitive here against Delgado. I ultimately think the power of Delgado will be the difference maker, and that's enough for him to find the chin and put Fili away. But I would say more so at a minus 185 rate, not minus 340. So if you're able to get early numbers on Delgado closer to minus 200, all praise to you. But at a certain point, you got to consider odds, and I feel Delgado might be too big here at minus 340. I think he wins, but I'm going to stay off of playing this. I'll take a look at the KO prop if it's at, maybe if it's at anything better than plus 150, plus 200. I highly doubt it. Maybe that's when I would consider a play on Delgado, but outside of that, I'm fine to just pass and pick Delgado to win by knockout.